The champagne glass slipped from Vanessa's hand in what felt like slow motion. She watched, horrified, as the golden liquid arced through the air and splashed across the front of the most expensive suit she'd ever seen. The tall man wearing it stood frozen, amber droplets sliding down his navy blue jacket onto his crisp white shirt. "Oh my God," Vanessa whispered, her dark brown skin flushing with embarrassment. "I am so sorry." She grabbed napkins from a nearby table, her hands shaking as she tried to dab at the mess. This was exactly the kind of disaster she'd been afraid of. Her first major event as lead coordinator, a charity gala for children's hospitals, and she'd just drenched one of the guests. Not just any guest either. Based on his perfectly tailored suit and the Rolex on his wrist, this was probably a major donor. "I'll pay for the cleaning," she stammered, still frantically dabbing. "I know that won't fix it right now, but I promise I'll take care of everything. This is completely my fault. I wasn't watching where I was going." The man caught her wrist gently, stopping her frantic movements. "Hey, it's okay. Really?" Vanessa finally looked up at his face. Her breath caught. He had warm hazel eyes that crinkled at the corners, dark brown hair styled perfectly despite the champagne incident, and a smile that made her forget, just for a moment, that she'd ruined his evening. "It's just a suit," he said, his voice calm and kind. "I have others." "But your shoes," Vanessa protested, looking down at the designer leather now spotted with champagne. "And this is such an important event. I've completely ruined your night." "You haven't ruined anything." He released her wrist and took the soggy napkins from her hand, tossing them on the table. "I'm Julian, by the way." "Vanessa." She bit her lip, still mortified. "I really am sorry. This is my event, and I'm supposed to be professional, and instead I'm assaulting guests with beverages." Julian laughed, a genuine sound that made something warm bloom in Vanessa's chest. "Tell you what. You can make it up to me by having dinner with me once this event is over. There's got to be somewhere nearby that's still open at, 11? Midnight?" Vanessa blinked. "You want to have dinner with me? After I dumped champagne all over you?" "Maybe because you dumped champagne all over me," Julian said, his smile widening. "You're the first person tonight who's talked to me like I'm a regular person instead of a checkbook. It's refreshing." Before Vanessa could respond, her assistant coordinator rushed over. "Ms. Brooks, the auctioneer needs you. There's an issue with lot 17. Vanessa looked between Julian and her assistant, torn. "I have to go. I'm so sorry." Again. "I'll be here," Julian said. "Find me when the event's over?" She nodded, still not quite believing this was happening, and hurried away to handle the crisis. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of last-minute problems, donor questions, and auction coordination. But through it all, Vanessa found herself glancing across the ballroom, catching Julian's eye. Each time he smiled. By the time the last guest filtered out around midnight, Vanessa's feet ached in her heels and her red dress felt too tight. She'd almost convinced herself that Julian had left, that his dinner invitation had been polite fiction to make her feel better. Then she saw him, leaning against the wall near the exit, still in his champagne-stained suit, scrolling through his phone. "You waited," she said, surprised. He looked up, pocketing his phone. "I said I would. There's a diner 3 blocks from here that's open 24 hours. Nothing fancy, but the food's good." They walked through the cool night air, and Vanessa felt the tension of the evening drain away. The diner was nearly empty, just a few late-night customers scattered among the vinyl booths. They slid into a corner booth and a tired-looking waitress brought menus and coffee. "So," Julian said, wrapping his hands around his coffee mug. "Tell me about Vanessa Brooks, event coordinator extraordinaire and champion champagne spiller." She laughed despite herself. "Not much to tell. I'm 26, I've been planning events for 4 years, and tonight was my first time running a major gala on my own. Obviously it went great." "It did go great," Julian said seriously. "I watched you. You handled every problem that came up with grace. The event raised over $2 million for the children's hospitals. That's because of you." "How do you know how much we raised?" "I paid attention." He sipped his coffee. "What made you want to plan events?" Vanessa shrugged, feeling more comfortable now. "I like bringing people together. Making things beautiful and meaningful. My mom died when I was 15, and at her memorial service, everything was so cold and impersonal. I remember thinking that if I ever had the chance, I'd make celebrations and gatherings feel warm. Like they matter." "I'm sorry about your mom," Julian said softly. "Thank you. It was a long time ago." She changed the subject. "What about you? What do you do when you're not attending charity galas and getting attacked by clumsy coordinators?" I run a tech company. Software development, mostly for healthcare systems. Not nearly as interesting as your job. They talked for hours until the sky outside started to lighten with the first hints of dawn. Julian told her about growing up with a single mother who worked 3 jobs to put him through college. Vanessa shared stories about her sister Rochelle and their childhood in South Carolina. They discovered they both loved old movies, hated Brussels sprouts, and had once dreamed of being astronauts. I should get you home, Julian said reluctantly, signaling for the check. You must be exhausted. I am, Vanessa admitted. But this was nice. Really nice. Outside the diner, Julian hailed a cab. But instead of putting Vanessa in it and saying goodbye, he slid in beside her. I'll make sure you get home safe. That's not necessary, Vanessa protested, but her heart wasn't in it. She didn't want the night to end. I know, Julian said. He reached over and took her hand. But I'm not ready to say goodbye yet. The cab ride to Vanessa's apartment building seemed to take both forever and no time at all. When they pulled up outside, Julian paid the driver and walked her to the entrance. Thank you for tonight, Vanessa said, searching for her keys in her purse. I haven't talked like that with anyone in a long time. Me either. Julian stepped closer. Vanessa, I know we just met, but I don't want this to be the end. Can I see you again? She looked up at him, at the genuine warmth in his eyes, the slight smile on his lips. Every logical part of her brain said this was crazy. She didn't know his last name. She didn't know anything about him except what he'd told her over coffee and pie in a diner. But standing there in the early morning light, with his hand warm in hers, logic didn't seem to matter. Yes, she whispered. He leaned down and kissed her, soft and tentative at first, then deeper when she responded. Vanessa dropped her purse, wrapping her arms around his neck, and kissed him back like she'd never kissed anyone before. Come upstairs, she heard herself say. Please. Would you watch a woman struggle alone, or would you want to see kindness win? Subscribe and comment below if you believe in second chances and love that conquers all obstacles. They barely made it inside her apartment before they were kissing again. Clothes fell away in a trail to her bedroom. Julian was gentle and passionate, attentive in ways that made Vanessa forget every worry. They made love as the sun rose, filling her small bedroom with golden light. Afterward, wrapped in her sheets with Julian's arms around her, Vanessa felt happier than she'd been in years. She fell asleep with her head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. When she woke several hours later, she was alone. The sheets beside her were cold. There was no note, no phone number. Julian was simply gone, like he'd never been there at all. Vanessa sat up slowly, clutching the sheet to her chest. On her nightstand, her phone showed 3 missed calls from work and 2 texts from her sister. But nothing from Julian. She realized with a sinking feeling that she had no way to contact him. She didn't know his last name. She didn't know the name of his company. She had nothing but memories of the most perfect night of her life. She told herself it didn't matter. It had been one night, one beautiful night, and maybe that was all it was supposed to be. She got up, showered, and tried to put Julian out of her mind. But late that night, lying alone in her bed, Vanessa touched her lips and remembered his kiss. She wondered if she'd ever see him again, and deep in her heart, she hoped she would. Vanessa stared at the positive pregnancy test in her trembling hand. 3 different brands, 4 tests total, all showing the same 2 pink lines. She sat on the edge of her bathtub in her small bathroom, trying to breathe normally. This couldn't be happening. She was on birth control. They'd been careful. Mostly careful. Sort of careful. Oh God, she whispered to her empty apartment. 8 weeks ago, she'd woken up alone after the most incredible night of her life. 4 days after, she checked her phone obsessively, hoping Julian would somehow find her. She'd even gone back to the hotel where the gala had been held, asking if anyone knew Julian's last name or how to contact him. The staff had been polite but unhelpful. They couldn't give out guest information. After 2 weeks of dead ends, Vanessa had forced herself to accept the truth. Julian had been a one-night thing. A beautiful, perfect one-night thing that was never meant to go further. It hurt, but she'd survived worse. She'd focused on work, taking on new clients, building her business. And now this. She made an appointment with her doctor for the next day. Dr. Kim, a kind woman in her 50s, confirmed what Vanessa already knew. You're definitely pregnant, Dr. Kim said, looking at her chart. Based on your last period, I'd say about 8 weeks along. Let's do an ultrasound to confirm. Vanessa lay on the exam table, her shirt pushed up, cold gel on her belly. Dr. Kim moved the ultrasound wand around, frowning slightly at the screen. Is something wrong? Vanessa asked, her heart racing. No, nothing's wrong. Dr. Kim smiled. But I'm seeing 2 heartbeats. Vanessa, you're having twins. The room seemed to tilt. Twins? Congratulations, Dr. Kim said warmly. She turned the screen so Vanessa could see. There and there. 2 perfectly healthy babies. Vanessa stared at the grainy images, at the 2 tiny forms with their flickering heartbeats. Twins. She was going to have twins. Alone. With no way to tell their father. I can see you're overwhelmed, Dr. Kim said gently. That's completely normal. Do you have support? Family? The father? My sister, Vanessa managed. And my best friend. The father doesn't know. We're not together. Well, you have options and time to decide what's best for you. But if you choose to continue the pregnancy, I want you to know you can do this. You're healthy, you have a good job, and you're not alone. Vanessa nodded, unable to speak. Dr. Kim printed out ultrasound pictures and gave her a folder full of information about twin pregnancies. Vanessa drove home in a daze. That evening she called her sister Rochelle. You're what? Rochelle shrieked over the phone. Twins? Nessa, oh my God. I know. Vanessa was curled up on her couch in her pajamas, the ultrasound pictures on her coffee table. I don't know what to do. Do you want to keep them? Vanessa touched her still flat stomach. Yes. I know it's crazy, but yes. I want these babies. Then you keep them, Rochelle said firmly. And I'll help. You're not alone in this, Nessa. What about the father? Can you contact him? No. I only knew his first name. Julian. I tried to find him, but it was like he disappeared. What a jerk, Rochelle said angrily. Just leaving like that. I don't think he meant to hurt me, Vanessa said quietly. Maybe something came up. Maybe he had a girlfriend or wife I didn't know about. It doesn't matter now. I'm having these babies and I'll raise them on my own if I have to. Not on your own, Rochelle corrected. With me. With Kenji. With everyone who loves you. We've got your back. Over the next few weeks, Vanessa told her best friend Kenji Park, who immediately went into protective mode. He helped her research cribs, car seats, and everything else she'd need for twins. Rochelle started buying baby clothes, tiny onesies in every color. Vanessa threw herself into work, taking on extra clients to save money for maternity leave. She moved into a slightly bigger 1-bedroom apartment, giving up her small studio. She went to every prenatal appointment, watching her babies grow on the ultrasound screen, feeling more connected to them each time. But at night, alone in her bed, she sometimes thought about Julian. She wondered what he'd say if he knew. Would he be happy? Scared? Would he want to be involved or would he run? She told herself it didn't matter. These babies were hers and she would love them enough for 2 parents. At 12 weeks, her morning sickness finally eased. At 16 weeks, she felt the first flutters of movement. At 20 weeks, she found out she was having 2 girls. She cried in the ultrasound room, overwhelmed with joy and terror. 2 little girls, she whispered to her growing belly that night. You're going to be so loved. I promise. Work became more challenging as her pregnancy progressed. By 24 weeks, she was noticeably pregnant, her belly round and impossible to hide. Some clients were supportive. Others seemed uncomfortable as if pregnancy might be contagious. Don't worry about them, Kenji said over lunch one afternoon. He worked as a graphic designer and had created a beautiful logo for Vanessa's event company. You're amazing at what you do. If they can't see that past your baby bump, that's their loss. I'm just worried about money, Vanessa admitted. She was eating a massive sandwich, always hungry these days. Twins are expensive. Daycare costs alone are going to kill me. You'll figure it out, Kenji said confidently. You always do. Vanessa wished she shared his certainty. She'd done the math over and over. Her savings would cover the first few months, but after that, things would be tight. Very tight. At her 26-week appointment, Dr. Kim expressed concern about Vanessa's blood pressure. It's a little high. Not dangerously so, but I want you to start taking it easy. Reduce your stress, rest more. Twin pregnancies can be complicated, and I want to keep you and these babies healthy. I can't really take it easy, Vanessa protested. I have a business to run. Then delegate what you can, Dr. Kim said firmly. Your health comes first. Vanessa tried to cut back on work, but it was hard. She'd built her event company from nothing and every client mattered. She hired an assistant, a college student named Ivy Chen who was eager and organized. It helped, but Vanessa still found herself working long hours, unable to let go completely. One evening, 28 weeks pregnant and exhausted, Vanessa stood in her apartment looking at the pile of baby items accumulating in her living room. 2 cribs still in boxes. bags of tiny clothes, diapers and bottles and blankets. It was all overwhelming. Her phone rang. Work probably. She almost didn't answer, but it could be an important client. Vanessa Brooks, she said tiredly. Ms. Brooks, this is Patricia Turner from Sterling Industries. We're planning a major corporate event in 3 weeks and our original coordinator just backed out. Your name came highly recommended. Would you be available to meet tomorrow to discuss the project? Vanessa's heart leaped. Sterling Industries was huge, a major tech company. Landing them as a client could change everything for her business. Absolutely, she said, trying to sound energetic despite her exhaustion. What time works for you? They scheduled a meeting for the next afternoon at Sterling Industries headquarters. After hanging up, Vanessa allowed herself a moment of excitement. This could be exactly what she needed. A big client, a big paycheck, security for her and her daughters. She touched her belly, feeling the baby's move. Girls, things might be looking up. That night, she fell asleep with hope blooming in her chest. She didn't know that tomorrow her entire world would change again. Vanessa checked her reflection in the bathroom mirror one last time. Her blue maternity dress was professional but comfortable. Paired with low heels she could actually walk in. At 6 months pregnant with twins, her belly was impressively large. There was no hiding it, so she decided to own it. You've got this, she told her reflection. You're a professional. You're good at your job. Pregnant doesn't mean incompetent. The Sterling Industries building was downtown, all glass and steel, reaching 30 stories into the sky. Vanessa took a deep breath before entering the lobby. The receptionist directed her to the 15th floor, where Patricia Turner's office was located. Patricia was a sharp woman in her 40s, with auburn hair and intelligent green eyes. She shook Vanessa's hand warmly, not even blinking at her pregnant belly. Thank you for coming on such short notice, Patricia said, gesturing to a chair. Please sit. Can I get you anything? Water? Tea? Water would be great, thank you. Patricia poured water from a pitcher on her desk and they got down to business. The event was a product launch combined with a charity gala, expected to host 500 guests. It was ambitious, especially with only 3 weeks to plan. I won't lie, Patricia said. This is a challenging timeline. Our previous coordinator had 3 months to plan this, but she had a family emergency and had to step away. We're willing to pay a premium for someone who can pull this off. They discussed details for an hour. Budget, venue options, catering requirements, entertainment. Vanessa took careful notes, her mind already working through logistics and vendors. This was exactly the kind of high-profile event she needed to establish her company. The keynote speaker will be our CEO, Patricia said. He's very particular about events, so everything needs to be perfect. Would you like to meet him? He should be back from his meeting any minute. Absolutely, Vanessa said, hoping she sounded more confident than she felt. Meeting the CEO while visibly pregnant was nerve-wracking, but she couldn't let that show. Patricia made a phone call, then smiled. He's on his way. Let's head to the conference room where we'll be hosting the main presentation. I want you to see the space. They walked down a hallway lined with windows overlooking the city. The conference room was massive, with floor-to-ceiling windows and state-of-the-art audio-visual equipment. Vanessa could already envision the setup, where to place the stage, how to arrange the seating. This is beautiful, she said honestly. We could do something really special here. That's what I was hoping to hear, Patricia said. The door opened behind them. Patricia, sorry I'm late. The meeting with the Tokyo office ran over. That voice. Vanessa froze, her hand instinctively moving to her belly. She knew that voice. She turned slowly, and her eyes met Julian's across the conference room. He was wearing a charcoal gray suit, his dark hair slightly longer than she remembered. He looked successful, confident, powerful, and completely shocked. Vanessa, he whispered. Patricia looked between them, confusion clear on her face. You two know each other? Vanessa couldn't speak. 6 months of wondering, searching, trying to move on, and here he was. Julian Hart, CEO of Sterling Industries. The father of her babies. Julian's eyes dropped to her belly, then snapped back to her face. She watched emotions flicker across his features. Shock, confusion, and something that might have been hope. We met once, Vanessa managed to say, her voice barely steady. Several months ago. At the Children's Hospital Gala, Julian added, not taking his eyes off her. Patricia, could you give us a moment? Patricia looked intrigued but professional. Of course. I'll be in my office when you need me. She left, closing the door quietly behind her. Silence filled the conference room. Vanessa's heart pounded so hard she could hear it in her ears. Julian took a step toward her, then stopped as if unsure whether he was allowed closer. I looked for you, he said quietly. After that night, I went back to the hotel, tried to find out who planned the event, but everything was contracted through an agency. They wouldn't give me your information. I looked for you too, Vanessa said. I only knew your first name. Julian. The hotel staff wouldn't help me either. He took another step closer, his eyes on her belly. Vanessa, are you? He couldn't seem to finish the question. Pregnant? Yes. 26 weeks. Is the baby? He swallowed hard. Is it mine? Vanessa felt tears prick her eyes. She'd imagined this conversation 100 different ways, but never like this. Never in a corporate conference room with him looking at her like she was a ghost. They're yours, she said softly. Twins. 2 girls. Due in early December. Julian's knees seemed to give out. He sank into the nearest chair, his face pale. Twins. Oh my God. I tried to find you, Vanessa said, needing him to understand. I really did. But I didn't know your last name and I couldn't find any trace of you. I've been planning to raise them alone. Alone? Julian looked up at her, something fierce in his eyes. No. Vanessa, no. These are my daughters. I want to be part of their lives. I want to help, to be there for you and them. Please. Vanessa had imagined this moment too, the moment when she'd have to decide whether to let Julian into their lives. She told herself she'd be cautious, protective. That she'd make him prove himself before letting him near her babies. But looking at him now, seeing the raw emotion on his face, the genuine desire to be involved, she found she couldn't say no. More than that, she didn't want to say no. Okay, she whispered. Okay. Julian stood up quickly, crossing the space between them. He stopped just short of touching her, his hands raised as if he wanted to reach for her but wasn't sure if he was allowed. Can I? He asked, gesturing to her belly. Vanessa nodded, taking his hand and placing it on her stomach. Right on cue, one of the babies kicked. Julian's eyes widened and a smile broke across his face, so full of wonder that Vanessa felt her heart melt a little. That's real, he breathed. They're real. Very real, Vanessa agreed. And very active. They stood like that for a long moment, Julian's hand on her belly, feeling his daughters move. When he looked at her again, his eyes were bright with unshed tears. I'm so sorry I left that morning, he said. I had an emergency call from Tokyo. A major problem with a product launch that could have cost us millions. I tried to wake you but you were so deeply asleep and I thought I'd be back in a few hours. By the time I got free it was late afternoon. I came back to your apartment but you weren't there. I waited for hours. I was at work, Vanessa said. I had meetings all afternoon. I didn't leave a note because my phone was dead and I didn't have anything to write on. I'm an idiot. He smiled sadly. I went back every day that week but I never saw you. Eventually I had to go back to Tokyo for 2 weeks. When I got back I tried to find you through the event agency, but they said they couldn't give out personal information. I even hired someone to try to track you down, but Vanessa Brooks is apparently a pretty common name. Julian Hart isn't, Vanessa pointed out. I know. I should have made sure you knew my full name. I should have done a lot of things differently. He finally let his hand drop from her belly. But we found each other now. That's what matters. And Vanessa, I meant what I said. I want to be part of this. Part of their lives. Whatever you need, whatever they need, I'm here. Please let me help. Every instinct Vanessa had told her to be careful, to protect herself and her babies. But she thought about what Dr. Kim had said about having support. She thought about her savings running out, about the stress of doing everything alone. And she thought about the way Julian had looked at her belly, like those babies were already the most important things in his world. I have another doctor's appointment next week, she said. You could come if you want. Meet your daughters properly. Julian's whole face lit up. Yes. Absolutely yes. Just tell me when and where and I'll be there. They exchanged phone numbers, and Vanessa felt surreal typing Julian's contact information into her phone. 6 months ago this was all she'd wanted. Now she had it and she wasn't sure what to do with it. What about the event? She asked suddenly. The product launch. Should I still coordinate it or would that be weird? Julian shook his head. I want you to coordinate it. You're the best, Vanessa. Patricia wouldn't have called you otherwise. This doesn't have to be complicated. You're a professional and so am I. We can do this. Okay, Vanessa agreed. Then I should get back to Patricia and accept the job officially. Vanessa, wait. Julian caught her hand. Thank you. For giving me this chance. For not shutting me out. I know I don't deserve it after disappearing, even if it wasn't intentional. But I promise you I'm going to be the best father I can be. These girls are going to know how much they're loved. Vanessa squeezed his hand. I believe you. Walking out of Sterling Industries an hour later, contract signed and deposit paid, Vanessa felt like she was floating. Everything had changed in the space of 2 hours. She had a major client, financial security, and the father of her babies wanted to be involved. She called Rochelle as soon as she got to her car. I found him, she said as soon as her sister answered. Julian. I found him. What? Oh. Where? He's the CEO of Sterling Industries. I went there for a meeting and he walked in and Rochelle, he wants to be part of their lives. He wants to help. Slow down, Rochelle said. Start from the beginning. Vanessa told her everything, the words tumbling out. When she finished, Rochelle was quiet for a moment. So he's a billionaire, Rochelle said finally. What? Oh. I mean he's successful, but Nessa, Sterling Industries is worth billions. If he's the CEO, he's not just rich. He's stupid rich. Vanessa felt dizzy. She'd been so caught up in the emotion of seeing Julian again that she hadn't really processed what it meant that he ran a major tech company. That doesn't matter, she said firmly. What matters is that he wants to be a good father. You're right, Rochelle agreed. But Nessa, be careful, okay? Rich people are different. Make sure he's in this for the right reasons. I will, Vanessa promised. But as she drove home, she couldn't stop smiling. For the first time since seeing those positive pregnancy tests, she felt like maybe, just maybe, everything was going to be okay. Julian arrived at Dr. Kim's office 15 minutes early, carrying a small bag from a baby boutique. He'd barely slept since seeing Vanessa 3 days ago, his mind racing with thoughts of becoming a father. Twins. He was going to be a father to twin girls. He'd told his mother the news last night over dinner. Patricia Hart had been shocked, then thrilled. Grandbabies, she'd breathed, tears in her eyes. Julian, I can't believe it. Neither can I, he'd admitted. Now, waiting in the doctor's office, Julian felt nervous in a way he never did before business meetings or presentations. This was different. This was real life, his life changing forever. Vanessa arrived exactly on time, looking beautiful in a green maternity dress that brought out the warmth in her dark skin. She spotted him and smiled, some of the tension leaving her shoulders. You came, she said. Of course I came. Julian stood holding out the bag. I brought something. I hope that's okay. I didn't know if I should, but I saw it and thought. Vanessa opened the bag carefully. Inside were 2 tiny stuffed animals, a giraffe and an elephant, impossibly soft. They're perfect, she said softly. Thank you. A nurse called Vanessa's name, and they followed her to an exam room. Dr. Kim came in moments later, her eyes widening slightly when she saw Julian. You must be the father, she said warmly, shaking his hand. I'm Dr. Kim. Nice to finally meet you. Julian Hart. Thank you for taking care of Vanessa and the babies. She's been doing great, though her blood pressure has been a little high. How are you feeling today, Vanessa? Good. Tired but good. Dr. Kim checked Vanessa's vital signs, listened to the baby's heartbeats, and measured her belly. Julian watched, fascinated, as Vanessa lifted her dress to expose her round stomach. He could see movement beneath her skin, little bumps and rolls as the baby shifted. Everything looks good, Dr. Kim said. Let's do an ultrasound so Dad can meet his daughters properly. Julian pulled a chair next to the exam table, taking Vanessa's hand when she offered it. The ultrasound screen flickered to life, showing grainy black and white images. There's baby A, Dr. Kim said, pointing to the screen. She's measuring right on track. And there's baby B, also looking perfect. Both girls are healthy and active. Julian stared at the screen, at the tiny faces and hands and feet. His daughters. Real, living, growing inside Vanessa. His throat felt tight with emotion. Can you tell which is which? He asked. Dr. Kim smiled. Baby A is currently head down, getting ready for birth. Baby B is breech right now, but she has time to turn. Twins often switch positions right up until delivery. She printed out several ultrasound pictures and handed them to Julian. He held them carefully like they were made of glass. After the appointment, they stood in the parking lot, neither quite ready to say goodbye. Do you have time for lunch? Julian asked. There's a cafe nearby. We could talk. Vanessa hesitated, then nodded. That sounds nice. The cafe was quiet, with soft music and comfortable booths. They ordered sandwiches and tea, though Vanessa also got a milkshake. Twins make me constantly hungry, she explained. Julian watched her eat, trying to gather his thoughts. There was so much he wanted to say, to offer, to ask. "Vanessa, I want to help financially," he said finally. "Medical bills, baby supplies, whatever you need. Please let me take care of it." "Julian, you don't have to." "Yes, I do. These are my daughters too. You've been handling everything alone for months and that's not fair. I want to contribute. Actually, I want to do more than contribute. I want to make sure you and the girls have everything you need." Vanessa set down her sandwich. "What exactly are you suggesting?" "Your apartment. It's a one-bedroom, right? That's not big enough for you and 2 babies. Let me help you find a bigger place. Something with at least 2 bedrooms, maybe 3, so the girls can each have their own room when they're older." "I can't afford a bigger place on my own," Vanessa said quietly. "Not in a safe neighborhood. I've been trying to figure out how to make the one-bedroom work. So let me help. I'll cover the rent until you're back to work full-time. Consider it child support, just early." Vanessa bit her lip. "That's a lot of money, Julian." "I have a lot of money," he said gently. "Rochelle told you about Sterling Industries, I'm guessing. About what I'm worth." "She mentioned it," Vanessa admitted. "Then you know I can afford it. This isn't charity, Vanessa. This is me taking care of my family. You and these babies are my family now." Vanessa's eyes filled with tears. "I was so scared. All these months trying to figure out how I'd manage alone. How I'd afford everything. I kept telling myself I'd find a way, but at night I'd lie awake doing math and it never added up right." Julian reached across the table, taking her hand. "You're not alone anymore. Let me help. Please." "Okay," Vanessa whispered. "Okay. I'll let you help with rent and medical bills. But Julian, I don't want you to think you have to fix everything with money. These girls need a father who's present, not just a checkbook." "I want to be present," Julian said firmly. "I want to be at every appointment, every ultrasound. I want to help set up the nursery and pick out names and be there when they're born. I want all of it, Vanessa. Everything I've already missed and everything still to come." They spent the next hour looking at apartments on Julian's phone. He'd already had his assistant compile a list of available places in safe neighborhoods with good schools. Vanessa was overwhelmed by the options, but they narrowed it down to 3 apartments to view in person. "I'll cover moving costs too," Julian said. "And furniture. You'll need cribs and changing tables and a proper rocking chair. Let me take care of it." "Julian, that's too much." "It's not too much. It's what fathers do. They provide for their children." He paused. "My dad left when I was 5. I barely remember him. My mom worked herself to exhaustion raising me alone. I swore that if I ever had kids I'd be different. I'd be there and I'd make sure they never wanted for anything. Please let me do this." Vanessa squeezed his hand. "Okay. But we do this together. I want to pick out the cribs and the furniture. This is still my home and I need it to feel like mine, not like you're just buying me a showroom." "Deal?" Julian agreed. "We'll do it all together." Over the next 2 weeks they fell into a routine. Julian came to apartment viewings during his lunch breaks. They found a perfect 3-bedroom in a quiet neighborhood with a park nearby. Julian paid the deposit and first month's rent without blinking. They went shopping for baby furniture, wandering through stores while Vanessa pointed out what she liked. Julian noticed she always gravitated toward practical items, never the most expensive options. "Get what you really want," he told her in a baby boutique, watching her eye a beautiful white crib with delicate carving. "Don't worry about the price." "This one is fine," Vanessa said, gesturing to a simpler model. "But you like that one." Julian walked over to the carved crib. "It's beautiful. Let's get 2, 1 for each girl." "Julian, they're $2,000 each. And they're perfect. The girls deserve perfect." He signaled to a sales associate. "We'll take 2 of these and we need matching changing tables, dressers and rocking chairs." Vanessa looked like she might cry. "You're really doing this?" "I really am." Julian smiled at her. "Get used to it. I'm going to be doing a lot of this over the next 18 years. At least." The moving day was chaotic but fun. Julian hired professional movers, but he insisted on being there to help. Rochelle and Kenji came too, directing traffic and unpacking boxes. "Your baby daddy is kind of amazing," Kenji whispered to Vanessa while Julian was assembling cribs in the nursery. "I mean, he's doing everything right." "I know," Vanessa said, watching Julian through the doorway. He'd rolled up his sleeves and was focused intently on following the crib instructions. "I keep waiting for the catch, but there isn't one. He just genuinely wants to be a good father." "Then let him," Kenji advised. "You deserve this, Nessa. You deserve someone who steps up." By evening the apartment was mostly organized. The nursery was complete, with 2 cribs side by side, a rocking chair by the window and shelves full of books and stuffed animals. The living room had a comfortable couch and a bassinet for nighttime feedings. The kitchen was stocked with groceries Julian had insisted on buying. "This is amazing," Rochelle said, looking around. "Nessa, you did it. You have a real home for these babies." "We did it," Vanessa corrected, looking at Julian. "I couldn't have done any of this without help." After everyone left, Julian lingered in the doorway. "I should go. Let you rest. But Vanessa, thank you. For letting me be part of this. For giving me a chance to be the father I want to be." "Thank you for stepping up," Vanessa said. "Not every man would." Julian leaned down and kissed her forehead gently. "I'll see you tomorrow. We have that baby class at the hospital, remember?" "I remember." Vanessa smiled. "Good night, Julian." "Good night, Vanessa." "Good night, girls," he added, speaking to her belly. "I'll see you soon." After he left, Vanessa stood in her new nursery, touching the cribs, the soft blankets, the stuffed animals. For the first time since discovering her pregnancy, she felt truly safe, truly provided for. And maybe, just maybe, she was starting to feel something more than gratitude for Julian Hart. The baby class at the hospital was packed with couples in various stages of pregnancy. Julian held Vanessa's hand as they found seats near the front, both of them slightly nervous. The instructor, a cheerful woman named Susan, taught them about labor stages, breathing techniques, and newborn care. When it was time to practice diaper changes on dolls, Julian took it seriously, concentrating like it was a business presentation. "You're really good at this," Vanessa said, watching him expertly fasten the tiny diaper. "I've been watching videos," Julian admitted. "I want to be prepared." During the section on partner support during labor, Susan had the partners practice massage techniques. Julian's hands on Vanessa's shoulders were gentle but firm, working out knots she hadn't known were there. "That feels amazing," she sighed. "You carry a lot of tension here," Julian noted. "I could hire you a massage therapist. Weekly sessions until the babies come." "Julian, you don't need to." "I know I don't need to. I want to. You're carrying my children. The least I can do is make sure you're comfortable." They left the class with a folder of information and a strange intimacy between them. They'd practiced breathing exercises together, talked about labor positions, discussed pain management options. It felt domestic in a way Vanessa hadn't expected. "Are you hungry?" Julian asked as they walked to the parking lot. "We could get dinner." "I'm always hungry," Vanessa laughed. "But I should probably go home and rest," Dr. Kim said. "Dr. Kim said to reduce stress and take care of yourself," Julian interrupted. "Having someone cook for you counts as taking care of yourself. Come on, there's an Italian place nearby that makes amazing pasta." Vanessa gave in, partly because she really was hungry, and partly because she enjoyed Julian's company. They were seated at a quiet corner table, and Vanessa ordered chicken parmesan while Julian got lasagna. "Tell me about your business," Julian said over breadsticks. "How did you get into event planning?" Vanessa told him about starting as an assistant, working her way up, finally starting her own company 2 years ago. "The Children's Hospital Gala was my first major solo event. That's why I was so nervous about everything going perfectly. And why you were so upset about the champagne," Julian added with a smile. "Right. Although in hindsight, best spill of my life." They laughed together, and Vanessa felt something warm settle in her chest. This was nice. Easy. Natural. Over the next few weeks, they fell into a comfortable rhythm. Julian came to every doctor's appointment, took notes on Dr. Kim's instructions, asked thoughtful questions. He showed up at Vanessa's apartment most evenings after work, bringing dinner or groceries, helping with small tasks around the apartment. One evening, he arrived to find Vanessa struggling to put together a baby swing. She was sitting on the floor, instruction manuals spread around her, looking frustrated. "Let me," Julian said, taking off his suit jacket and rolling up his sleeves. "I should be able to do this myself," Vanessa protested. "Why? I'm here. Let me help." He studied the instructions, then started sorting screws and bolts. "Tell me about your day. How did the Sterling event planning go?" Vanessa had been working on his company's product launch, coordinating with Patricia Turner and the events team. "Really well, actually. The venue is confirmed, catering is sorted, and I found a great jazz band for the evening portion. Patricia is happy. I knew she would be. You're the best at what you do." They talked while Julian assembled the swing, Vanessa providing commentary and occasionally handing him tools. By the time he finished, she was yawning. "You should rest," Julian said, helping her up from the floor. "Doctor's orders." "I'm fine," Vanessa protested, but she let him guide her to the couch. He propped pillows behind her back and lifted her feet onto the coffee table. "I'll make tea," he said, heading to the kitchen. Vanessa watched him move around her apartment with increasing familiarity. He knew where she kept the mugs, how she liked her tea. When had that happened? He came back with 2 cups of chamomile tea and sat beside her. "Vanessa, I've been thinking. About after the babies are born." "What about it?" "You're going to need help. Night feedings, diaper changes, everything. I want to be there, but I live across town. It would take me 45 minutes to get here if you called in the middle of the night." "Julian, where is this going?" He set down his tea. "I want to move in. Not permanently if you're not comfortable with that. But for the first few months. I could take the guest room, be here whenever you need me. We're going to be a team raising these girls, and teams work better when they're together." Vanessa's heart raced. "That's a big step." "I know. And if you're not ready, I understand. But think about it. You're going to have 2 newborns, Vanessa. Twins are exponentially harder than singletons. Having someone here, someone who's invested and committed, would make everything easier." "Let me think about it," Vanessa said. It wasn't a no, and from Julian's hopeful expression, he knew it. The next day she discussed it with Rochelle and Kenji over coffee. Well, coffee for them. Decaf tea for her. "He wants to move in?" Rochelle said, eyes wide. "That's huge." "I know. How do you feel about it?" Kenji asked. "Honestly? Relieved. Terrified. Grateful. Confused. All of it." Vanessa stirred sugar into her tea. "I like him. Really like him. But is that just because he's being so supportive? Or is it real? Does it matter?" Rochelle asked. "Nessa, this man is showing up for you every single day. He's excited about these babies. He wants to be a real father. Whether you have romantic feelings or not, he's proving himself. What if it gets messy?" Vanessa worried. "What if we try to be more than co-parents and it doesn't work? Then the girls have to deal with that tension." "Or," Kenji said gently, "what if it does work? What if you end up building something real?" Vanessa thought about that all day. That evening, when Julian came over with Thai food and baby name books, she made her decision. "I want you to move in," she told him over pad Thai. "But we need ground rules." Julian's face lit up. "Absolutely. Whatever you need." They spent the next hour discussing logistics. Julian would take the guest room. They'd split household tasks. He'd work from home when possible to be available. Most importantly, they'd focus on co-parenting first, friendship second, and anything else could wait until after the babies were born and they'd found their footing. "I can be moved in by this weekend," Julian said. "I'll bring clothes and essentials, but I won't clutter up your space." "Our space," Vanessa corrected. "If you're moving in even temporarily, it's our space." Julian moved in on Saturday. He didn't bring much, just clothes, a laptop, and a few personal items. But he also brought a bassinet for his room, in case one of the girls needs to sleep with me sometimes, and a baby monitor system that connected every room in the apartment. That first week living together was an adjustment. They developed morning routines, learning each other's rhythms. Julian made coffee before work, left breakfast for Vanessa. She made dinner most nights and he cleaned up. They watched television together in the evenings, Julian's hand often resting on Vanessa's belly, feeling his daughter's move. One night, Vanessa woke to find Julian's bedroom door open, light spilling into the hallway. She got up, moving slowly with her large belly, and found him sitting on his bed, reading a book on twin infant care. "Can't sleep?" she asked from the doorway. He looked up, smiling. "Just preparing. I want to know everything before they get here." "Come here," Vanessa said, gesturing to the living room. She settled on the couch and Julian joined her. "Talk to me. What are you really worried about? What if I'm not good enough?" Julian admitted quietly. "What if I fail them? What if they need something and I don't know what to do?" "Then we'll figure it out together," Vanessa said firmly. "Julian, you're already a great father. You're here. You're present. You care. That's what matters. I just want to be perfect for them. For you. We're not going to be perfect. We're going to be tired and confused and sometimes we're going to make mistakes. But we'll do it together and we'll love these girls with everything we have. That's what makes a good parent." Julian pulled her close, and Vanessa rested her head on his shoulder. They sat like that for a long time, drawing comfort from each other. What would you risk for love? For family? If this story is touching your heart, subscribe to see how Vanessa and Julian's journey unfolds. Comment below if you believe in second chances and new beginnings. As Vanessa's due date approached, Julian became even more attentive. He packed and repacked her hospital bag, made lists of everything they might need, practiced the route to the hospital at different times of day to know the fastest way. "You're nesting," Vanessa teased him, watching him organize baby supplies for the third time. "I want to be ready," he protested. "We're ready," she assured him. "As ready as we can be." They'd chosen names finally after weeks of debate. Arya Rose and Sophie Grace. Julian had cried when Vanessa suggested Rose, after his mother's middle name, and Grace after Vanessa's mother. "They're perfect," he'd whispered, his hand on her belly. "Arya Rose and Sophie Grace Hart Brooks." "Hart Brooks?" Vanessa questioned. "Unless you want just Brooks? Or just Hart?" "I want them to have both of us in their names." "Hart Brooks," Vanessa agreed. "It's perfect." At 36 weeks, Dr. Kim scheduled a cesarean section for the following week. Twins usually come early anyway, and baby B is still breech. "I want to deliver you when we're all prepared rather than waiting for an emergency." That night, lying in bed in her room with Julian in the guest room down the hall, Vanessa felt the weight of what was coming. In 1 week she'd be a mother. In 1 week, everything would change. Her phone buzzed with a text from Julian. "Are you awake?" "Yes." "Nervous?" "Me too." "Want company?" Vanessa hesitated, then typed, "Yes." Julian appeared in her doorway minutes later in pajama pants and a t-shirt. He climbed into bed beside her, and Vanessa curled against his side, her belly between them. "We're going to be parents in a week," she whispered. "Best week of waiting ever," Julian replied. He kissed the top of her head. "Thank you, Vanessa. For these girls. For letting me be part of this. For trusting me." "Thank you for showing up," she replied. "For being exactly who these girls need." They fell asleep like that, wrapped around each other with their daughters safe between them. And for the first time, Vanessa let herself believe that maybe this wasn't just about co-parenting. Maybe this was the start of something more. Something real. Something lasting. Julian's mother Patricia arrived at the apartment on Sunday morning, carrying enough baby gifts to fill a small store. She was elegant in her 60s, with silver hair styled perfectly and Julian's warm hazel eyes. "You must be Vanessa," Patricia said, setting down her bags to embrace Vanessa carefully, mindful of her belly. "My goodness, you're beautiful. And carrying my grandbabies." "It's wonderful to meet you, Mrs. Hart," Vanessa said. "Patricia, please. We're family now." She pulled back, studying Vanessa with approval. "Julian has told me so much about you. I'm sorry I couldn't meet you sooner, but I was visiting my sister in Florida." They settled in the living room and Patricia immediately started pulling gifts from her bags. Tiny dresses in every color, soft blankets, books, toys. "I may have gotten carried away," she admitted. "But I'm going to be a grandmother. I'm allowed." "You definitely got carried away," Julian said, but he was smiling. "Tell me everything," Patricia demanded. "How are you feeling? When is the scheduled delivery? Have you chosen names?" Vanessa answered her questions, warming to Patricia's genuine enthusiasm. She'd been worried about meeting Julian's mother, afraid she'd be judged or found lacking. But Patricia treated her with warmth and respect. "I want to be involved," Patricia said. "Not overbearing, I promise. But I'd love to come visit after the babies are born, help out if you need it. I was a single mother myself, so I know how hard those first few months can be." "I'd like that," Vanessa said honestly. "Julian told me about how you raised him alone. That must have been difficult." "It was the hardest thing I've ever done. But also the most rewarding." Patricia smiled at her son. Julian was worth every struggle. And these little girls will be too. Julian's best friend and business partner Owen Rodriguez came by that afternoon. He was in his early 30s with an easy smile and sharp intelligence in his brown eyes. "So you're the woman who's got Julian acting like a whole different person," Owen said, shaking Vanessa's hand. "He used to work 16-hour days. Now he leaves at 5 on the dot. It's weird." "I have priorities," Julian said firmly. "And those priorities are sleeping in Vanessa's belly." Owen laughed. "I like you already," he told Vanessa. "Anyone who can make this workaholic act like a human being has my approval." They ordered pizza and spent the afternoon talking. Owen shared embarrassing Julian stories from college, making Vanessa laugh until her sides hurt. Patricia fussed over making sure Vanessa was comfortable, bringing her water and pillows. "Your mom is amazing," Vanessa told Julian later, after Patricia and Owen had left. "I was so nervous, but she made me feel so welcome." "She really likes you," Julian said. "I can tell. She's usually more reserved with new people. And Owen is hilarious. You two have been friends since college?" "Since freshman year. He's the brother I never had." Sterling Industries wouldn't exist without him. He handles all our partnerships and international relations. The next day, it was Vanessa's turn to introduce Julian to her family. Rochelle arrived first, eyeing Julian with protective skepticism. "So you're the guy who knocked up my sister and disappeared," Rochelle said bluntly. "Rochelle?" Vanessa protested. "It's okay," Julian said calmly. "I deserve that. I didn't mean to disappear, but I did, and Vanessa suffered because of it. I'm here now and I'm not going anywhere." Rochelle studied him for a long moment. "You better not be. Because if you hurt her or those babies, I will end you. I don't care how rich you are." "Noted," Julian said seriously. "But I won't hurt them. They're my world now." Rochelle's expression softened slightly. "Okay then. I guess you can stay." Kenji Park arrived with his boyfriend Trevor, both of them immediately making Julian feel welcome. They'd brought Korean food, and they all ate while Kenji told stories about Vanessa's early days as an event planner. She once had to coordinate a wedding where the bride and groom broke up 2 hours before the ceremony, Kenji said. And Vanessa still made sure all the guests were fed and entertained. She turned it into a party celebrating being single. "I did not turn it into that," Vanessa protested. "The bride did. I just made sure the DJ had the right music." They talked late into the evening. Julian fit surprisingly well with Vanessa's friends, laughing at their jokes, sharing stories about his own life. Rochelle pulled Vanessa aside in the kitchen. "Okay, I admit it," Rochelle said. "He's good. Really good. The way he looks at you, Nessa. That man is falling in love with you if he hasn't already." "We're just co-parenting," Vanessa said, but her cheeks warmed. "Sure you are," Rochelle said knowingly. "Keep telling yourself that." The week passed in a blur of final preparations. Julian took the week off work, spending every moment with Vanessa. They made sure the hospital bag was packed, the car seat bases were installed correctly, the apartment was spotless. 3 days before the scheduled cesarean, Patricia came over to help set up a meal train. She'd organized Julian's employees and her own friends to bring food for the first month after the babies were born. "You're going to be too tired to cook," Patricia said. "And Julian can't boil water without burning it." "I'm not that bad," Julian protested. "Yes, you are," Patricia and Vanessa said simultaneously, then laughed. That evening, after Patricia left, Vanessa felt the first real contraction. She was sitting on the couch, folding tiny baby clothes, when pain gripped her belly. "Oh," she gasped, dropping the onesie she was holding. Julian looked up from his laptop immediately. What's wrong?" "I think that was a contraction. But you're not due for 3 more days. Tell that to your daughters." Vanessa felt another contraction, stronger this time. "Julian, I think this is real." He was on his feet instantly, phone in hand. "I'm calling Dr. Kim." Dr. Kim told them to wait and see if the contractions continued and got stronger. If they did, they should head to the hospital. Julian started timing contractions with an app, his face focused and calm, though Vanessa could see the fear in his eyes. The contractions came every 10 minutes, then every 8, then every 5. Dr. Kim called back. "Come to the hospital. Sounds like these girls are ready to meet the world." Julian grabbed the hospital bag, helped Vanessa to the car, and drove carefully through the evening traffic. Vanessa breathed through contractions, squeezing Julian's hand whenever she could reach it. "You're doing great," he kept saying. "So great. Just breathe." At the hospital, they were taken straight to a delivery suite. Dr. Kim examined Vanessa and confirmed she was in active labor. "We're going to prep you for the cesarean. These babies are coming tonight." Everything moved fast after that. Nurses prepped Vanessa for surgery while Julian changed into scrubs. He held her hand in the operating room, speaking softly to her while Dr. Kim worked. "I love you," Julian said suddenly. "I need you to know that. I love you, Vanessa. I think I've loved you since that first night, but I definitely love you now. You're amazing and strong, and I can't imagine doing this with anyone else." Vanessa's eyes filled with tears, partly from emotion and partly from the surreal feeling of being awake during surgery. "Julian, you don't have to say anything," he interrupted. "I just needed you to know." "First baby," Dr. Kim announced. A loud cry filled the room. "It's Arya." A nurse brought the baby around the curtain, and Vanessa saw her first daughter. Tiny, perfect, screaming with healthy lungs. Julian's eyes were wet with tears. "She's beautiful," he breathed. "Vanessa, she's so beautiful." "Second baby," Dr. Kim said moments later. "Sophie's here." Another cry, another perfect baby. The nurses cleaned them up while Dr. Kim finished the surgery. Then both babies were placed on Vanessa's chest, skin to skin, and she finally got to hold her daughters. "Hi," she whispered to them. "Hi, my beautiful girls. We're your parents. We love you so much." Julian touched each tiny head gently, reverently. "Arya Rose and Sophie Grace," he said softly. "Welcome to the world." Vanessa looked at Julian, at the love and wonder on his face, and felt her heart crack open. "I love you too," she said. "I've been scared to say it, but I do. I love you, Julian Hart." He kissed her forehead, then each baby's head. "We're a family," he said. "The four of us. A real family." "A real family," Vanessa agreed. In that moment, in a hospital room with their newborn daughters between them, Vanessa finally let herself believe in the fairy tale. This was real. This was lasting. This was love. The first 2 weeks home with twins were the hardest thing Vanessa had ever done. Arya and Sophie had different schedules, different needs, different personalities from the start. When one slept, the other cried. When both were awake, it was chaos. But Julian was there for all of it. He changed diapers at 3 in the morning, warmed bottles, walked colicky babies around the apartment while singing off-key lullabies. He learned to burp Sophie just right, to rock Arya in a specific way that soothed her. He researched everything from the best swaddle techniques to infant sleep training methods. "You're a natural," Vanessa told him one night, watching him hold both babies at once, one in each arm, both finally sleeping. "I'm terrified I'm going to break them," he admitted quietly. "They're so small. You won't break them. You're doing everything perfectly." Patricia came by daily, bringing food and offering to hold babies so Vanessa and Julian could shower or nap. Rochelle visited often, usually bringing coffee and taking over laundry. Kenji and Trevor brought groceries and cleaned the kitchen without being asked. Owen stopped by one evening after work, bearing gifts. "For my goddaughters," he announced, presenting 2 savings bonds. "Start their college funds early." "Owen, you didn't have to," Vanessa protested. "Of course I did. These girls are going to run the world someday. They need the right start." He looked at Julian. "You look exhausted, man." "I am exhausted," Julian admitted. "But I've never been happier." It was true. Despite the sleepless nights and constant work, Julian radiated contentment. He'd never been more present, more focused, more alive. Vanessa found herself watching him more and more. The way he talked to his daughters, narrating everything he did. "Now Daddy's going to change your diaper, Arya. Yes, I know it's cold, but we'll be quick." The way he looked at her, with warmth and admiration. The way he'd brush her hair back when she was too tired to move, whisper that she was beautiful, amazing, the best mother. They were co-parenting. They were friends. But Vanessa wanted more. She wanted what they'd had that first night, but deeper now. Real. Built on weeks of trust and partnership. One evening, when both babies were miraculously asleep at the same time, Vanessa found Julian in the kitchen making tea. He'd showered and changed into clean clothes for the first time that day, his hair still damp. "Sit with me," Vanessa said, patting the couch beside her. He brought 2 mugs of tea and settled next to her. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, just enjoying the quiet. "Julian, I need to tell you something," Vanessa said. He turned to her, concern in his eyes. "What is it?" "I'm happy. Really, genuinely happy. These past few weeks have been exhausting and challenging, but I've never been more content. And that's because of you." "Vanessa, let me finish. That night in the hospital, I told you I loved you. I meant it, but I was also overwhelmed and emotional. I needed you to know that I still mean it. I love you, Julian. Not just as my baby's father. Not just as my co-parent. I love you as a person. As a partner. As someone I want in my life forever." Julian set down his tea with shaking hands. "I've wanted to hear you say that since the night they were born. I've been so afraid that you only said it because of the moment, because of the emotion. I've been terrified to push, to ask for more, because I didn't want to risk what we have." "What do we have?" Vanessa asked softly. "Everything," Julian said. He cupped her face in his hands. "We have everything, Vanessa. A family. A partnership. Love. And I want more. I want to be your partner in every way. I want to wake up with you every morning and go to bed with you every night. I want to raise our daughters together, really together, as a family." "So do I," Vanessa whispered. He kissed her then, soft and sweet and full of promise. It was different from their first kiss all those months ago. This kiss was built on knowledge and trust, on weeks of seeing each other at their worst and choosing to stay anyway. "I'm moving my things into your room tomorrow," Julian said when they finally pulled apart. "No more guest room. We're doing this for real." For real, Vanessa agreed. That night, after the baby's midnight feeding, Julian climbed into Vanessa's bed instead of returning to the guest room. She curled against him, her head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "This is right," she said. "This is how it's supposed to be." "Yeah," Julian agreed, his arms around her. "This is perfect." They fell asleep like that, wrapped around each other. When Arya cried an hour later, they got up together, working as a team to change her and feed her. It felt natural, right, like they'd been doing this together forever. The next day, Julian officially moved into Vanessa's room. He cleared space in her closet for his clothes, put his books on her nightstand, hung a photo of the four of them on the wall. The guest room became a proper nursery, with both cribs moved in and a comfortable chair for nighttime feedings. "It's really real now," Vanessa said, looking around the apartment that was now truly theirs. "It's been real," Julian corrected. "Now it's just official." They developed new routines as a couple. Morning kisses over coffee. Stolen moments between baby care to just hold each other. Date nights at home after the girls were asleep, watching movies on the couch with takeout. "I can't remember the last time I was this happy," Vanessa admitted one night. They were curled up together, watching an old romantic comedy, both babies sleeping peacefully in the nursery. "Me either," Julian said. He kissed the top of her head. "I keep waiting for something to go wrong, for this to be too good to be true." "It's not too good to be true. It's just our life. Our beautiful, chaotic, perfect life." When Arya and Sophie were 6 weeks old, Vanessa and Julian finally got a full night's sleep. Both babies slept from midnight to 6, and Vanessa woke feeling more human than she had in weeks. Julian was already awake, watching her with a soft smile. "Good morning," he said. "Good morning," she replied. "The girls?" "Still sleeping. We have actual alone time." "What should we do with it?" Vanessa asked, moving closer. Julian pulled her into his arms. "I have some ideas." They made love slowly, relearning each other's bodies, rediscovering the connection that had started all of this. It was sweet and passionate and felt like coming home. After, lying tangled together in the early morning light, Vanessa felt complete. This was her family. This was her future. And it was better than any dream she'd ever had. "I want to marry you," Julian said suddenly. Vanessa propped herself up on her elbow to look at him. "What?" "Not now. Not until you're ready. But someday, Vanessa Brooks, I want to marry you. I want to call you my wife. I want us to be a family in every way possible." "Someday," Vanessa agreed, her heart full. "When the time is right." "Yes." He kissed her again, deep and promising. Through the baby monitor they heard Sophie start to fuss. Reality called, but for the first time, Vanessa didn't mind. This was her life now. Babies and love and partnership with a man who'd shown up and stayed. They got up together to tend to their daughters, moving around each other with practiced ease. And Vanessa knew with absolute certainty that this was exactly where she was meant to be. This chapter was covered in Chapter 6's dramatic birth scene. Extending the aftermath here. The first hour after delivery was a blur of nurses and measurements and paperwork. Arya weighed 6 pounds 2 ounces, Sophie was 5 pounds 13 ounces. Both were perfectly healthy despite arriving early. Vanessa was moved to a recovery room, exhausted and sore but unable to stop looking at her daughters. They were in bassinets beside her bed, swaddled in hospital blankets, wearing tiny pink hats. Julian sat in the chair next to Vanessa's bed, holding her hand, his eyes constantly moving between her and the babies. "I can't believe they're real," he kept saying. "They're really here." "They're really here," Vanessa agreed. A nurse came to check on them, showing Vanessa how to breastfeed. It was harder than Vanessa expected, especially with 2 babies, but the nurse was patient and encouraging. Julian took notes on his phone, determined to remember everything. "You're going to be fine," the nurse assured them. "Twins are challenging, but you two clearly work well together. That's half the battle." Patricia arrived an hour later, bursting into tears the moment she saw her granddaughters. "They're perfect," she sobbed, holding first Arya, then Sophie with trembling hands. "Julian, they're absolutely perfect." "They are," Julian agreed, his voice thick with emotion. Rochelle came next, bringing Kenji and Trevor. They cooed over the babies, took pictures and promised to help however they could. "You did it," Rochelle told Vanessa, hugging her carefully. "I'm so proud of you." "We did it," Vanessa corrected, looking at Julian. "I couldn't have done this without him." The hospital insisted they stay for 3 days due to the cesarean section. Julian never left, sleeping in the uncomfortable chair beside Vanessa's bed, jumping up every time a baby cried. He changed every diaper, brought every baby to Vanessa for feeding, burped them afterward. The nurses commented on how involved he was. Most fathers aren't this hands-on, one said approvingly. Your babies are lucky. On the third day they were cleared to go home. Julian brought the car around while a nurse wheeled Vanessa out, a baby in each arm. Patricia followed with bags of gifts from the hospital staff. Getting 2 car seats installed correctly took longer than expected. Julian checked and rechecked every strap, every angle, while Vanessa sat in the back seat between her daughters. We're really taking them home, she said, touching each tiny hand. We're really parents. Best thing we've ever done, Julian said, finally satisfied with the car seats. He helped Patricia into the front passenger seat, then drove home with excessive caution, barely going over 20 miles per hour. Julian, you can go faster, Vanessa said. We're fine. I have precious cargo, he replied. I'm not taking chances. Walking into their apartment with 2 babies felt surreal. Julian had cleaned everything while Vanessa was in the hospital, made sure the nursery was perfect. He settled both babies in their cribs while Vanessa carefully lowered herself onto the couch. I'm going to make you comfortable, Patricia announced, bringing pillows and blankets. And then I'm going to make dinner. You 2 rest. Mom, you don't have to. Yes, I do, Patricia said firmly. You're new parents. Let me help. That night, after Patricia went home and the babies were finally asleep, Julian and Vanessa sat on the couch in exhausted silence. We survived day 1, Vanessa said. Only 18 years to go, Julian joked weakly. They laughed, then Vanessa winced at the pain in her incision. Julian immediately got her pain medication and water. Thank you, she said. For everything. For being here, for being so involved, for being exactly the partner I needed. There's nowhere else I'd rather be, Julian said honestly. This is my family. My whole world is in this apartment. They sat together until Aria's cry from the nursery signaled the start of another feeding cycle. Julian stood first, offering Vanessa his hand. Together? He asked. Always together, she agreed. And they walked into the nursery side by side, ready to face whatever parenthood brought them. Together. 6 months flew by in a blur of sleepless nights, first smiles and endless diaper changes. Aria and Sophie grew from tiny newborns into chunky, happy babies with distinct personalities. Aria was serious and watchful, while Sophie was all smiles and giggles. Vanessa had taken 4 months of maternity leave, but now she was back to work part-time, coordinating events from home when possible. Julian had transitioned to working from home 3 days a week, and they'd hired a part-time nanny named Claire to help during business hours. The routine worked well. Vanessa and Julian had become an incredibly efficient team, able to communicate with just a glance about what each baby needed. They'd survived colic, sleep regressions, and the chaos of twins without major disasters. More importantly, their relationship had deepened. They'd grown from strangers to co-parents to partners to something more. Something solid and lasting. They talked about everything from business decisions to parenting philosophies to their future dreams. One Saturday morning, Julian woke early and made breakfast while Vanessa slept in. Well, slept in as much as possible with 6-month-old twins. She woke to the smell of pancakes and the sound of Julian singing to the babies in the kitchen. She found him with one baby and a bouncer on each side of the stove, flipping pancakes and narrating what he was doing. And now Daddy flips the pancake. See? Perfect flip. Someday you 2 will be master pancake flippers. Good morning, Vanessa said from the doorway. Julian turned, his face lighting up. Morning, beautiful. Breakfast is almost ready. They ate together, babies entertained by toys on their play mat. It was a perfect ordinary morning, the kind Vanessa had never imagined having but now couldn't imagine living without. I've been thinking, Julian said over coffee. The apartment is getting cramped. With the babies growing, all their stuff, Claire coming by daily. We need more space. What are you suggesting? Vanessa asked, though she had a feeling she knew. Let's buy a house. Something with a yard for the girls to play in when they're older. Multiple bedrooms, a real office for each of us. A place that's really ours, that we choose together. Vanessa's heart raced. A house. With Julian. A permanent home for their family. That's a big step. We've already taken all the big steps, Julian pointed out. We're living together, raising children together, building a life together. A house is just making it official. Okay, Vanessa said, and watched Julian's face transform with joy. Let's buy a house. They spent the next month house hunting on weekends, Patricia and Rochelle babysitting the twins. They looked at dozens of houses before finding the perfect one. A 4-bedroom colonial in a quiet neighborhood, with a fenced backyard, updated kitchen and plenty of space for their growing family. "This is it," Vanessa said, standing in the master bedroom. "This is our house." "This is our house," Julian agreed. He made an offer that day, and it was accepted within hours. They moved in 6 weeks later, filling the empty house with their furniture, their life, their love. Patricia and Owen helped with the move. Rochelle and Kenji painted the nursery in soft lavenders and greens. The first night in their new house, after everyone had left and the babies were asleep in their new cribs, Vanessa and Julian sat on the floor of their empty living room surrounded by boxes. "We did it," Vanessa said. "We actually did it. We bought a house together." "We built a home together," Julian corrected. He pulled her close, kissing her temple. "Vanessa, I need to ask you something." "What?" He shifted and suddenly he was on one knee. Vanessa's breath caught as he pulled a small velvet box from his pocket. "I know I said I'd wait until you were ready," Julian said. "But watching you with our daughters, living this life with you, I can't wait anymore. Vanessa Brooks, you are the most incredible woman I've ever known. You're an amazing mother, a brilliant businesswoman and the love of my life. Will you marry me? Will you be my wife and let me be your husband and let's make this official in every possible way?" Vanessa's eyes filled with tears. She looked at the ring, a beautiful diamond flanked by 2 smaller stones. "The side stones," she whispered. "Arya and Sophie," Julian confirmed. "Our family." "Yes," Vanessa said, launching herself at him. They tumbled to the floor, laughing and crying. "Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes." He slid the ring onto her finger, then kissed her deeply. "I love you," he said against her lips. "I have loved you since that first night, and I will love you for the rest of my life." "I love you too," Vanessa said. "Forever." They made love right there on the floor of their new empty living room, christening their house with joy and love and promises. After, lying tangled together on the hardwood, Vanessa held up her hand, watching her ring sparkle in the dim light. "We should probably get up before one of the babies cries," she said reluctantly. "Probably," Julian agreed, but neither of them moved. They announced their engagement the next day. Patricia cried happy tears and immediately started planning the wedding. Rochelle hugged Vanessa tight. "I'm so happy for you," she whispered. "You deserve this. You deserve all of this." "I know," Vanessa said, and she meant it. For the first time in her life, she fully believed she deserved happiness. She deserved love. She deserved this beautiful, chaotic, perfect life. They decided on a simple wedding. Neither of them wanted anything elaborate. Just close family and friends celebrating their love and their family. The ceremony was in their backyard, 6 months after Julian's proposal. It was a perfect spring day, warm and sunny with a gentle breeze. White chairs were set up on the grass, flowers everywhere, a simple arch decorated with roses. Arya and Sophie, now 1-year-old and toddling everywhere, wore matching flower girl dresses in soft pink. Rochelle was Vanessa's maid of honor, and Owen stood as Julian's best man. Patricia sat in the front row, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. Vanessa wore a simple white dress, elegant and comfortable. No veil, just flowers in her hair. She'd never felt more beautiful. Julian wore a navy suit, and when Vanessa walked down the short aisle toward him, the look on his face made her heart overflow. Love and awe and gratitude all mixed together. "Hi," she said when she reached him. "Hi," he replied, taking her hands. "You look incredible." The ceremony was short and sweet. They'd written their own vows, and when it was Julian's turn, he looked directly into Vanessa's eyes. "Vanessa, you walked into my life by accident, spilling champagne all over me, and you've been making it better every day since. You gave me our beautiful daughters. You gave me a family I never thought I'd have. You gave me a home and a purpose and a reason to be better. I promise to love you fiercely, to support your dreams, to be your partner in all things. I promise to be the best father I can be to our girls, and to any future children we might have. I promise to make you laugh, to hold you when you cry, and to never take a single day with you for granted. You are my everything, and I will love you for the rest of my life." Vanessa was crying by the time he finished. She took a shaky breath and said her vows. "Julian, when I met you, I had no idea you were going to change my entire world. You showed up when it mattered most and you never left. You proved every day that you're committed to our family, that you're a man of your word. You're an amazing father, an incredible partner, and my best friend. I promise to love you through good times and challenges. I promise to support your dreams like you support mine. I promise to raise our daughters with kindness and strength. I promise to choose you every single day for the rest of our lives. You and our girls are my whole heart, and I'm so grateful I get to call you my husband. By the power vested in me, the officiant said, smiling, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride. Julian cupped Vanessa's face and kissed her deeply, while their guests cheered. Arya and Sophie, confused by the noise, started clapping too, making everyone laugh. The reception was in their backyard, catered by a local restaurant. They ate good food, danced to live music and celebrated with everyone they loved. Julian danced with his mother, then with each of his daughters, holding them carefully as they giggled. Vanessa danced with Rochelle, with Kenji, with Owen. When it was time for their first dance as husband and wife, the DJ played a slow song. Julian pulled Vanessa close, and they swayed together under the stars. This is perfect, Vanessa whispered. Everything about today is perfect. Everything about you is perfect, Julian replied. I'm the luckiest man in the world. I'm pretty lucky too, Vanessa said. She looked around at their backyard, at their friends and family, at their daughters being passed around and adored by everyone. Look at what we built, Julian. Look at our life. It's a good life, he agreed. The best life. Later that night, after all the guests had left and the babies were asleep, Vanessa and Julian sat on their back porch, still in their wedding clothes. They were exhausted but happy, watching the stars. We did it, Vanessa said. We really did it. We got married. Best decision I ever made, Julian said, pulling her close. Well, second best. The first best was not getting upset about the champagne. Vanessa laughed. If I hadn't spilled that champagne, none of this would have happened. No us, no Arya, no Sophie. Then I'm grateful for every clumsy moment, Julian teased. He kissed her forehead. Vanessa heart. I like the sound of that. Me too, Vanessa said. She'd chosen to take his name, wanting their family to share it completely. The Hart family. The four of us. Maybe more someday, Julian said. If you want. No pressure. Maybe, Vanessa agreed, smiling. But not right away. Let's enjoy these two for a while. Deal, Julian said. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, just holding each other. Inside, through the baby monitor, they could hear Arya and Sophie breathing softly in their cribs. Their daughters safe and loved. Thank you, Vanessa said suddenly. For what? For showing up. For staying. For being exactly who we needed. For loving us so completely. Thank you for giving me a chance, Julian replied. For trusting me with your heart and our daughters. For building this incredible life with me. They kissed, sweet and soft, full of promise. They had faced challenges, overcome obstacles and chosen each other over and over. And they would keep choosing each other, every single day for the rest of their lives. Inside the house, Sophie started to cry. Both Vanessa and Julian stood automatically, moving toward their daughter. They stopped, laughed at their synchronized response and went in together. Because that was who they were now. Team. A partnership. A family. They found Sophie standing in her crib, tears on her chubby cheeks. Vanessa picked her up and Julian got Arya, who had woken up too. They stood in the nursery together, holding their daughters, rocking them gently back to sleep. I love you, Julian whispered to Vanessa over the babies' heads. I love you too, she replied. Forever. And in that moment, in their home with their children in their arms, Vanessa knew with absolute certainty that this was her happy ending. Her forever. Her beautiful, perfectly imperfect life. The twins fell back asleep, and Vanessa and Julian carefully placed them in their cribs. They stood for a moment watching their daughters sleep, their hands clasped between them. Come on, Mrs. Hart, Julian said softly, leading her toward their bedroom. Let's go to bed. Tomorrow starts our forever. Our forever, Vanessa repeated, following him. I like the sound of that. They climbed into their bed, wrapped in each other's arms, and fell asleep dreaming of all the tomorrows still to come. Tomorrows filled with laughter and love, challenges and triumphs, ordinary moments and extraordinary joys. Because they were a family now, officially and completely. And nothing in the world could be better than that.